The views on this program do not reflect those of ONTV or its board of directors. Welcome to Oaa Now, your home for Oakland Activities Association news and information. Here's your host, Sammy.
Welcome to Oaa Now. Here I'm Sammy, the blog of the Dragons Insider, blog of Inside the OAA, and one of the hosts between Tomato and Orion Intelligence. I'd like to welcome our friends hearing us on the local voice on SoundCloud, and also those watching us on Orion Television. Got Ian this week.
Hey,
here.
Sammy. Hey, a sunny Monday.
Beautiful. Well, it's been like crazy weather the last 2 months.
It's windy, cold, but the sun is out.
I'm not a big fan of wind, to be honest with you. Really.
Me either.
I mean, like, because, wind, too much of it could bring down power lines.
That's true. Good thing we have generators here at ONTV.
I don't at my house, unfortunately.
Well, if you ever lose power, dude, give me a call. I'll open the doors for you.
Appreciate it.
Crazy week in basketball.
Oh, my goodness. There are no OA boys teams left. We're going to recap them in the second segment.
Surprised.
Let's go with girls first. There were a couple of teams that are still in the tournament, in the regional, and then there's a couple of teams that should not have been out that are out.
Some surprise losses.
Oh yeah, some surprise losses. I could think of two of them already in the top of my head. That really has me irritated.
And you don't want to get Sammy irritated.
Yeah. And but the first one I want to look at is the I wasn't really surprised with the Division II matchups. Probably to me the biggest upset was a non-OA school.
Okay.
I want to get your thoughts upset. We've seen Pontiac Notre Dame Prep.
Yes.
Of course, there is a game with them in Lake Orion.
Yes.
On TV.
Yes.
You know what they did on Friday night?
What did they do?
Stunned the defending state champion, Birmingham Detroit Country Day, on their home floor, 71-59.
I don't believe we called that.
No. No.
And a decisive win.
To me, that's shocking, considering a couple years, Coach Frank Orlando had brought in, of course, a couple of transfers from formerly OA white schools. I think it was Jamal Elam from West Bloomfield and Maddie Novak from Lake Orion. They transferred in there. This was supposed to be, Birmingham Detroit Country Days was expected to be one of the top teams in the state.
Yeah.
Nobody expected them to go out in this round. Nobody. And they ended up losing on their home floor. They ended up losing. And you know what Notre Dame perhaps going to be good doing now? They're going to be moving on, play Croswell Lexington at Birmingham Detroit Country Day in the regional.
And I know you're going to preview the regional.
Of course.
But wow.
Nobody in the state saw this one coming. Notre Dame Prep basically, and this was a team that was literally beaten up by nearly every team in the red.
Yes.
Every in the OA. And you look at the losses. This is a team that lost to Clarkson. They lost to Groves. They lost to Bloomfield Hills. They lost to Lake Orion. Basically, the teams in the OAA have literally beaten up on the Irish, on the Fighting Irish. And for them, when I saw Notre Dame Prep play Lake Orion, I didn't think they were that good. Now, they got a good player in Sarah Stewart, but I know Stewart had capability of taking over games.
Yes, nothing we saw around us, like that matchup with Lake Orion and them, said, hey, guess what? They're going to take down the defending state champs.
And they just did.
Yes. So that's the madness of this time of year, right? I hate to steal the phrase, but or we can't say it, or we can't say the M madness. So, but anyway, the shocker, dude, complete and utter shock. But good for them. But
this
good
was
for them.
shocking.
You take down the giant.
A lot of people thought you're looking at this. I think likely means that Division II's playoffs are over. I think it's over because you have a nationally ranked team in Division II that's going to likely win the state title, and that's Detroit Edison.
So you're saying they're rolling now because
well, they did play Country Day earlier in the year. This was not your vintage Country Day team. This really wasn't. Because, they played a tough schedule and all that, but this was not this type of team that could just, go in and basically intimidate people.
Yeah.
This is not that type of team. I mean, unlike when you have a couple years ago when you had some great athletes that go over there. But still, this is shocking. This was shocking, to say the least.
But again, we said it before. The last couple of weeks, we've seen things like this, weird things. We go, but that's what makes it fun.
That's what makes it fun. That's what makes March Madness fun.
Absolutely, keeps you on your toes.
Oh, it does. It really does. Let's go from the go back into the Oaa now. Couple of games that I really didn't see coming. Of course, they were in districts in East and Macomb County. The Utica district kind of really set icing on the cake. Actually, the Athens one set the icing on the cake. But the Utica district was really interesting because it was a small gym.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought Stony Creek would go in there and roll in that district. That, unfortunately, did not happen.
No.
They ended up losing in the first round to Utica 37-30, where they just couldn't score. And that's shocking, considering early in the year, this was a basketball team that was scoring in the low 60s, and now to score only in the 30s?
Yeah.
Where's the scoring been for this team? Where was the scoring?
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, and I know Kellen James's team, he loses 5 seniors, including Emily Eckhout and Megan Solik. But this was shocking, to say the least, that Stony Creek, who played Utica early in the year, won 60-46 at Utica, and for them to go cold
at the wrong
time, it just says, and the fact that this team had lost 5 of 6 coming in had been a big concern, and the shooting woes has hurt this team.
Yeah, and we've seen other teams like that go through these shooting problems, and usually they recover, especially the strong teams. But this was, it's a bummer.
This was stunning.
Big old bummer.
I mean, and now, and then Utica, of course, rolled on, knocked off Rochester, and then went to the district final against Troy. Now Troy, they played Utica Eisenhower, was down by 16 at one point, and then Lauren DeBoe gets hurt, had to go to the hospital.
Unfortunate.
And then Troy takes advantage of that, forces overtime, and then basically wins that 61-52 behind 20 points from Athena Sampson, 15 points from Caitlin Knight. And then they go play a district final against Utica on their home gym and go to overtime where Troy ended up falling 55-48 to Utica. I know Tom McDonald's team very well. And I know this is the first district championship since 1999. But for me, I think this was really this game. It was a good game for both teams, but I think that if everything went right in this district, it should have been a Stony Creek Utica Eisenhower final.
Yeah.
But it didn't work out that way because Stony Creek suffered an upset at the hands of Utica. And then, of course, Utica Eisenhower was upset by Troy. So, but that's the luck of the draw there. So I couldn't believe, it's hard to describe that district, considering that the teams that were supposed to be there didn't make it.
Yeah.
And the teams that weren't supposed to be there, not supposed to be there.
Well, we should say they were not expected to be there, but they're there.
They were there.
They're there, and they earn their way.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You earn your way. Now, the thing is, can you hang? Can you hang, and can you keep moving forward? That's the question.
The district's going to have me really irked is the one at Troy Athens.
Uh-oh.
Because that was a weak district. And I thought to myself, Troy Athens this was gift wrapped for Stacey Klump's team. This was basically gift wrapped I know Utica Ford is a decent team. Not the greatest team, but decent. But I said, okay, Troy Atkins can handle them on their home gym. So when I looked at the score and it said 30-29 in favor of Ford,
yeah,
I got really irate because Troy Atkins blew a gifted opportunity. Gifted opportunity. Because it was on their home gym. It was against a Utica Ford team who I think they should have beat.
Okay.
But instead, they just lay an egg. Lay an egg. They lose by, and I thought for them to play in the white division when you're playing against teams like Avondale, Lake Orion, West Bloomfield, Oxford, those type of teams should help you. I know Utica Ford's played the likes of Romeo and all that.
Yes.
But still, I forgot to mention Adams in that conversation.
Yes.
But still, you're at home. This is an opportunity. You don't have a strong team in that district.
Yeah.
You couldn't take advantage. This team couldn't take advantage of everything that was given to you. Chippewa Valley is terrible. You look at Sterling Heights, they're terrible. Sterling Heights Stevenson this year, terrible. And yet Troy Athens, opportunity gives them. And they can't seal the deal.
Well, it tells you, dude.
That's horrible.
I know, but you say, hey, you're terrible, you're playing well, but all of a sudden it clicks. It can happen.
That Utica Ford team they played, not the greatest. I know they have one player in Olivia Kubnik, but you have 3 players on that team who can play well. You have Izzy Crum, Grace Bright, Abby Bright, and they can't get it done in their home gym. It's sickening. Sickening.
What's the makeup of that team, grade-wise? Veteran?
They got a lot coming back, but they have proven players on that team.
Yes.
They have a ton of proven players. They had that district basically all set up. You didn't have to worry about Troy. You didn't have to worry about if you're in the Utica, you didn't have to worry about Warren Cousineau. This was the perfect district for Troy Athens to win.
But that's why they play the game, right? That's why they roll the ball out there. There's nothing given, dude. You have to earn it all.
Troy Athens is playing in a much tougher division. I thought the Oaa White is a tougher division than the MAC White.
Yeah.
And for that,
But it could be matchups, too. What's the makeup? The style of play. I mean, there's so many variables, right? And if you haven't played a team before, like when you're playing in the OAA, you know each other.
Right.
You know the coaches. You know the style of play. You hit them a couple times a year, right? Mm-hmm. So you know what you're getting into, regardless of quality.
But Ford played Rochester early in the year. I know Utica Ford beat Rochester, but then Troy Athens beat Rochester by 1 point. And it's hard for me to describe this, What has me very upset is you're on your home floor. You're on your home floor, and you can't get it done.
Yeah. See,
that was a team I thought that could win that district.
See, they
could win it, and instead they don't.
And that's the bitter pill. You want that draw. You're home, right?
And it was a great draw.
Yeah.
All you had to do was beat Utica Ford, and they couldn't do it.
Believe me, nobody feels worse than they do.
I feel bad for Stacy Columbia.
Yeah, man.
This was the golden opportunity.
But it's also a learning opportunity, right? Not to say that they were overlooking anyone or anything like that, but it's a learning experience, especially if it's a team that they got a lot coming back next year.
Yes.
This hardens you. You remember these things.
But when the MHA realigns the districts in June, and basically if you're Troy Athens, if you get the same district again, I would be just ready for this. But it's it could be possible they could send Troy back to with Troy Athens. They could do that. I mean, like, this was the perfect setup for Troy Athens to win that district. And they threw it away. That's what it was. Now, the team that won it was Chippewa Valley.
Yeah.
I saw Chippewa Valley. They didn't look good. They didn't look very good.
Survive in advance. They survived.
They survived.
They did what they had to do.
They survived. They're moving on to Macomb, Dakota.
Mm-hmm.
And that regional. But I'm just still besieged and shocked about what the heck happened to Troy Athens.
Yeah.
I mean, the rest of the OA, the rest of the districts, the West Bloomfield district, over there, that was insane, especially the first day. West Bloomfield beating Aberdeen 50-47 on a winning 3-point shot from Logan Lewis, which was just absolutely insane. Then Abnell had a chance to win that game. Barely just went in and out on a half-court shot.
Oh, no.
And, that was a huge.
Any video of that rolling around?
There is a little bit. I know, I think Drew Ellis was there. I can get the link out. But it was a good game between those two teams. I mean,
what a crazy end, though. I mean,
it's kind of
3-pointer to go up, and then you got an in and out rattler at half court.
And it's kind of funny because Abnell finished 18-3 this year. You know who all three of their losses were to?
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Really. Really.
Oh, man.
That's tough.
That's tough. That's hard to do. I mean, to beat somebody 3 times.
Yeah.
I mean, you know everything about them.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then West Bloomfield ended up knocking off Waterford, beat him by 24, 55-31. And then in the district final, had to overcome a very good Bloomfield Hills team. Of course, Bloomfield Hills, we know about their shooters and all of them. And now they're going to be heading to the regional over at Lakeland, which is going to be absolutely brutal. And, I wrote in my column a regional previewing the girls' basketball regional previews about the Lakers. We'll go over that in a minute. Other district recaps. What teams I was really impressed by. I was really impressed with Adams because here's the thing. With Shea Lewis's team, they battle, they scrap.
Absolutely.
I mean, they compete really hard. When you look at what that team did, to go in and beat, I called this an upset, what they did in the district semifinal against Romeo, but they had a great game plan. Great game plan. Now, not like the style of the boys, what the boys did against Clarkston, but it was a great game plan. I mean, May Dolinga took over that game late. She took over that game late, basically, and their defense basically shut down Olivia McDonough, Aubrey McDonough. Of course, the Medina sisters had big games against Lake Orion.
Yes.
Especially Olivia going off for 17 in that game. But Lake Orion actually fought back. They were down 15 against Romeo. Took the lead late in that one. Just couldn't seal the deal.
Yeah.
But with Adams, I gotta give Adams' staff coaching staff a lot of credit. And I give particularly one guy, and that's Adams' JV coach, Jeff Cushman.
Okay.
And the reason why I say this is because, it's his trap. It's his style of trap, and that style of defense, I think he learned that from Todd Negoshian. But that style of trap worked really well against Romeo, and it basically it trickled down
Yeah.
to the girls over there at Adams, and when their defense, they made just enough plays to win that game.
Yeah.
And it was a big, big win for Adams at the time.
And what we say about trap, if a team is not expecting it, especially if it's like
I didn't think Romeo was prepared for that.
It's
trap.
a wrinkle that you throw in that's not the tendencies and it's not in the scouting report. I mean,
I didn't think Romeo was prepared for that
Yes.
trap.
Yeah.
I didn't think, and I think
and if you're not ready for it,
you're not ready for it. You're
it'll
asking
eat
for trouble.
It'll eat you alive.
And I think
Especially if you're point guards. Other people usually, if you got a trap and a press, if you can't just rely on your point guards to save you.
No.
Other people have to get involved to break those traps and break those presses.
And I think that's what happened here was, and that's one of the reasons why I give Cushman a lot of credit, and I also give credit to Shea Lewis for implementing it. The coach over there, Adams, I got to give her a lot of credit for implementing that trap.
You make the opponent uncomfortable.
Yep, and that's what Adams did.
Absolutely,
that's what Adams did. And then what I was really proud of with Adams was in the district final.
Yes.
Against Waterford Kettering.
Yep, at Lake Orion. Yeah, Friday night.
Waterford Kettering's a team that really, they're down this year. I would say, not typically down, but this is not your prototypical team.
Yes.
I mean, you still got your experienced players. You got Ashley Watson, Claire Bragg-Hannon. You got Irene Schoof. You got Michaela Holland, who was a freshman this year. And then of course you have Easy Dougal there as well. But Adams is, I gotta give props to Amelia Dranick. I have got to give props to her. She played her tail off in that game. She played her tail off. 24 points.
Wow.
24 points, And I remember after that, when she fouled out of that game, she was crying, and I give Coach Shea Lewis a lot of credit for calming her down. I give her a lot of credit.
Yep.
She played her heart out. If Adams, the thing that I think that killed Adams in that game was that third quarter.
Okay.
That was it. Other than that, I thought Adams really outplayed Waterford Kettering.
Really?
I thought Adams really outplayed Waterford Kettering despite the lack of size that Adams was giving up in that game.
Yeah.
I think that when you look at the Highlanders, they only lose two seniors.
Yeah.
And they had the majority of their scoring coming back. When you look at Maddie DeLinga back, you look at Abby Dranick, you look at Nicole Clara Hout coming back. I mean, it's Adams. They have it made next year.
Yep. And if you're interested in watching it's a competitive game, like you said, the third quarter kind of bit them.
Yep.
And I came in late in the fourth quarter where it was pretty much wrapped up. I think Kettering
It wasn't wrapped up.
Well, Kettering was up 12 at that point. I mean, it was way late in the fourth. But Adams was still battling away. I mean, they were chomping and fighting and making free throws and just battling out there.
And I think that's a credit to Shea Lewis and her team, especially because I know they have a theme on their shirts that say "Trust the process." And I think those girls over there at Adams right now are trusting the process.
Yeah. And they're set up nicely for next year. I mean,
I think there's a couple of teams that are set up nicely for next year. When you look at, of course, you have Oxford, who's got a lot coming back. They lose Ashley Hirschman and all that. I think Lake Orion set up nicely. Clarkston definitely.
Yeah, young team.
And then you look at when you look at others, I know Berkeley's got some pieces coming back. I know it'll be very interesting to see what happens.
And if you're interested, the Kettering and Adams game was recorded. So it was up on the NFHS network site. I believe that was Friday. I believe tonight or tomorrow it should be open for free viewing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's up there. And it was an interesting match.
Game.
Like you said, it was a good game. It's entertaining and one you should check out.
But let's now go from the district recaps. Let's preview the regionals. Of course, as we mentioned, 2 regional teams, OA teams are still in.
Yeah.
We got one region we got to cover. It's at Lakeland, and the other one's at Southfield A&T.
That's what I'm interested in hearing about.
The one at A&T?
Yeah.
That'll be crazy. Let's go to the one at Region 2 first. Of course, that is a really interesting regional. Basically, West Bloomfield becomes a, you have two Lakes Valley teams in there, a KLA team in there, and then you have West Bloomfield.
Yeah.
West Bloomfield's taking on Heartland first, and then you have Waterford Kettering taking on Wall Lake Western.
That's a tough matchup.
If I'm Bert Mosley, this is as tough a match we could think of because Heartland's been playing better. They're improving, and this is a very deep, very lanky team that they're going up against. And they feature a 6'4" player in Whitney Solomon,
6'4",
who has been a double-double machine lately.
I wonder why.
This is going to be as tough a matchup I think Bert Mosley's going to have with this team. Now, West Bloomfield, they're going to have to run, obviously. But if they get into a slow-down game, they've got big problems.
Yeah.
And I know that team, West Bloomfield, inside out. You have Logan Lewis there. I think Lola Chambers and Ike Elam are going to have really tough nights against Whitney South.
Okay.
Now, if they adjust and if those two play very well against Solomon, get her into foul trouble, they also get her younger sister in the foul trouble as well, I could see maybe an upset brewing here. But it's going to be a tough matchup for West Bloomfield. Now, Heartland's going to have to deal with Maya Bobo. They're going to have to deal with Logan Lewis. And I think it's going to be very interesting. But then again, Heartland's played some of these type of teams, especially down south, like a Plymouth Canton or like teams down in Wayne County who basically play the same style West Bloomfield does.
Yeah.
So West Bloomfield, this is going to be a really, really tough matchup for them going against a Heartland team. Really good Heartland team. And that was a team that went to state quarterfinal a year ago. So,
but anytime you have the luxury of a 6'4" big, my word.
And they got plenty of depth, too. And Solomon was out for a time. And they built that depth out, and
what have we seen when some of the top players on teams go out for a spell? The rest of the team rallies, right?
Rallies, yes.
And then it gives, a lot of time you go, oh, no. But a coach might say, hey, this is an opportunity because then you can start developing the rest of your bench. Like you said, now you have depth at experience at game action and people are there. That pays off. You cannot underestimate that.
Yes, I agree with you. And I think that's going to be a really, really tough matchup for West Bloomfield. And then the other side, you got Wall Lake Western going up against Waterford Kettering.
Yeah.
Can Kettering knock off Western this time? We know what Western's got. We know what Steve Emmert, because he formerly coached in the OA at Oxford. We know what he brings to the table. They have a very good player in Markea Ford. And we know what Kettering's got. But Wall Lake Western has beaten Kettering twice. Corey Hightower, the head coach at Waterford Kettering, said that this could be their best chance to get Wall Lake Western.
Again, that whole third time's the charm.
It's always hard to be a team three times. And they'll find that out the hard way.
Yes.
Do
you throw new wrinkles in? I mean, like we said, when you know your opponent so well, it just makes for their tighter matches. It turns into a slugfest.
It does.
Right? But like we said, you throw in a little wrinkle.
Yeah.
Throw in a little unexpected trap or a press that people weren't expecting. And if you execute, you can shock somebody.
Oh, sure. You can shock somebody. You can.
Do you think they would do that or just stick to the game plan and go, hey, we'll go,
I think
we'll go right at you with what we have and we'll see how it falls?
I think what's going to happen there is I'm as much as I love Bert Mosley and his team over at West Bloomfield, they ain't going to beat Heartland.
You don't think so?
If they do beat Heartland, I'm going to give Bert Mosley a lot of credit.
Oh, I thought you were going to say I was going to ask for a shirt and wear it on the show.
No, not going that route. But I think Wall Lake Western, it's going to be a rematch between Wall Lake Western and Heartland.
Okay.
I think Heartland will win that regional. Of course, games are on Monday and Wednesdays. Let's go to the one at Southfield A&T.
Yeah, man.
Before we go on the break here.
Because, I mean, this regional seems like it has the makings of whoever. This is a powerhouse.
There's a ton of star power in this regional.
Yeah.
A ton of it. Now, Birmingham Marion, of course, ranked number 2 in the state, had to work their way to get here. Of course, knocking off Royal Oak in a really low-scoring game. It was 30-29 in that one.
Wow.
It was really, really low scoring.
You think it's a matter of overlooking somebody?
No. Royal Oak's a defensive first team.
And they
had a ton
brought
of experience. They did bring it. But as mentioned, I think missing Jessica Adams kind of really hurt in that game. If they would have pulled that one off, I would have been stunned.
Yeah.
They would have pulled that one off.
That's close. That's so... as the fans, and the coaches and the players, you have a chance to knock off a quality team like that. And you miss it by one.
Yep, it hurts. On their home gym.
Oh.
It was at Birmingham Marion, too.
Oh.
Now this is going to be at Southfield Arts and Tech's home gym. The beauty of playing a tough schedule.
You've been preaching that for years.
I've been preaching this for years. The reapings of playing a tough schedule. Southfield comes in with a 21-1 record. Playing their best basketball right now. I mean, Michelle Marshall, head coach at Southfield A&T, called this her best team she's had since the 05 team at Lathrop. And that says a lot.
Yes.
When you look at players like Alexis Johnson, Shine McEvans, the emergent transfer in Soda Barnes from Ohio, Kiana Willis, and then, of course, Jasmine Worthy, a transfer from Birmingham, from Groves. But here's the thing that bothers me. What happens if you get into foul trouble? That's a big concern for me, for this team.
Bench issues?
If they get,
Depth?
Depth could be a trouble spot for
But is that something that they've been running into regularly?
Yeah, they've been running it regularly, of course.
Foul trouble, yeah.
But the tough schedule, you know what I mean, it's really helped them out. Especially with the play of McEvans and Johnson.
Yeah.
Also was Soda Barnes. They're playing really well right now. And the fact that this team's got home court, that's a bonus. Now they're gonna be playing a Warren Cousineau team that features Central Michigan commit Kate MacArthur. Of course, MacArthur does bring state championship experience.
Okay.
Which is gonna help them. And then of course, but I don't think they match up. They got to know where she's at all times, obviously. But I just think Southfield's got way too much depth for Warren Cousineau on this one. I think they got way too much depth. And the other regional matchup is Grosse Pointe North against Birmingham Marion. We talked about Marion earlier.
Yep.
Now Grosse Pointe North. They have a Michigan State commit in Julia Aronat, who has played magnificently for this team.
He's got tough teams rolling out of Grosse Pointe.
Well, yeah, a lot of it's been Grosse Pointe South. A lot of it's been Grosse Pointe South. But now it's North now. Of course, North with that unexpected upset a couple years ago of South. And then they made that unexpected run, I believe it was 2 years ago, where they made that unexpected run to about the state quarterfinal.
Yeah.
But you got to give them North. I think it's going to be a tough match for North against Birmingham Marion because Birmingham Marion, of course, besides the fact they have Olivia Moore, they have a 6'2" forward, and Sarah Sylvester is only a freshman.
Wow.
They got others too. I mean, I think this is going to be.
She's a 6'2" forward. That's usually your center.
Yeah. And now you're likely going to look at possibly the top 2 teams in the state playing in the regional final.
And that is where, in case somebody wants to roll down there.
It'll be at Southfield Arts and Tech, 6 o'clock. I like Southfield in this regional. I really do. Now, a couple years ago, they lost in their home gym to Detroit Martin Luther King.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a different Southfield team. And I think this is a team that's on a mission right now. And I think they're going to take names. They're taking names. I think the Warriors right now are rolling right now. And I think this is going to be a team that nobody wants to see. And I dare say this right now. If they rematch with Saginaw Heritage.
Oh, yeah.
That's their only loss. Now, Saginaw Heritage got a very tough regional themselves because they're with Midland Dow, and they got to play Foot Carmen Ainsworth.
Oh, boy.
That's tough.
That's a tough one too, man.
Mm-hmm. But I think at the end of the day here, I like Southfield. I think Southfield can seriously make a run at this thing. I think they can win this whole thing.
Really?
They got a shot.
You got to keep it even keel, though, right?
Keel.
I mean, you got to play.
And knowing Michelle Marshall and that team over there at Southfield,
Keep them grounded.
She'll keep them grounded. Knowing her, and I know her very, very well. One of the best coaches in the game. I know their assistant coaches very well. I also know Jeraka Hughes, what her system is over there. She's going to be fine. They're going to be fine. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Always like to see those OA teams still rolling through the tourney.
Yep. All right, now let's take a break here.
Okay.
Let's talk boys next segment here on Oaa Now.
This is Lake Orion's own, the local voice. Call ONTV and get on air 248-393-1060. Let your voice be heard. Internet radio for all. Call ONTV and get on air.
Welcome back to Oaa Now. Here I'm Sammy Karina here with Ian Locke here.
Hey, Sam.
Let's go from the girls to the boys. Of course, now there are no
what's left?
There's not a lot of boys. There's no boys teams left after what happened in the regional finals. We had 3 blue teams make the regional final. The lone red team, the Troy Colts, was eliminated.
District
by Rose.
final.
No, Troy went to the regional semifinal.
Regional semifinal. Oh, that's right. The guys are a week ahead.
Yeah. Troy went to the regional semifinal.
That's right. Sorry.
And was just trounced by Roseville.
Mm.
It wasn't even close. But the 3 teams that made it were all in the blue division this year. Oxford, Ferndale, Pontiac. Pontiac, we knew it was going to be difficult for them going against New Haven.
Yes.
But they fought. I talked to the Oakland Press, MI Prep Zone sports writer, Paula Pachette. Very good lady, by the way.
Okay.
Very good lady. And she was at Imlay City in the regional final. She was there. And she said that, it was a really... Pontiac fought. They battled for about a half. They got into New Haven.
Close?
It was close early. But then New Haven just pulled away late. It's pulled away late behind their likely Mr. Basketball winner, Romeo Weems, who actually had a nice game himself. He played well. And
you kind of picked that one, though.
It was going to be tough.
Yeah.
I knew it was going to be tough for Pontiac. Of course, this is a team that loses 10 seniors next year.
Whoa.
So a lot of talent gone from that team. So a lot of questions linger for that team going forward.
Yeah.
But Pontiac had a really nice year. They were 18-2. Fortunate to win the blue, but they did win a district title, which is going to be huge for them. Do you think the Aura Pontiac basketball's back?
Ooh, good question. I don't know. If you're losing 10, what do they have behind them?
That's the question.
It took them a while to get back to this level, right?
Mhm.
And it took a truckload of seniors.
Right.
I don't know. I think it's too early to say if this was just a one-off. Yeah, I'd like to say that they're back. That would be great. Because anytime they're rolling
the gym
around,
up against Oxford.
They did, and but who saw Oxford doing what they were going to do this year? And can it be repeated? That tells you you're back if you can repeat it.
That's the question.
Yeah,
that is the big.
I'd
question.
love to see Pontiac back because anytime you got a strong Pontiac team, it makes for just a fun. Keeping track of these teams like we do or you do. I just kind of sit here and nod my head and have a good time with you. But it was great. It was great to see Pontiac back. Watching them play, the success they had, and then having meaningful regular season games that were just like, oh man, this is
to fill out the place like the old Northern Central rivalry.
Absolutely, filling the gyms. The people traveling to come down. Great matchups. That's what you want. That's what all the coaches, the fans, the ADs. That's what they want. Just great competitors, great coaches, and great games. And you hope they can continue it.
That's going to be the big question there.
Yeah.
Let's go to Livonia Clarenceville. Ferndale took on unbeaten Harperwood Chandler Park Academy. I was shocked when I looked at the score. At the third quarter, they were out. Ferndale was outscored 35-3.
Wow.
At the end of the third quarter, and it really wasn't even.
That's a lot of points.
It
for
was
a third
horrible.
Quarter.
It was a horrible, horrible thing. Ferndale ended up losing 88-40 to Harperwood Chandler Park Academy. This was a basketball team that was averaging over 90 points a game. In the last six games, they were at over 90, and yet they only scored 40 because of that quarter.
They have foul trouble?
I don't know what happened briefly in that game.
Sometimes a team will take you out of your rhythm.
I mean, this was a basketball team that had a really emotional win against Detroit Frederick Douglass, where Tiana McKeithen hit a buzzer beater to win that game. And for them to lay an egg basically in the third quarter, that was shocking to say the least.
Yeah.
Now, Ferndale does have a lot coming back, and including the four other players who sit out.
Yeah.
Who sat out. They're going to be back. And four of them are Division I caliber players. So
yeah,
this team's going to be fine. Ferndale's going to be fine. They're going to be loaded.
Yeah.
I mean, and when you look at that team Juan Rickman has over there, they're going to be loaded for a little while. But it's still, I couldn't believe that they gave up 35 points in the third quarter.
No matter how good a team you are, that's a killer. That's a backbreaker.
It hurts.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm curious to see the makeup of the game. You know, what happened? Was it a flood of threes?
Was it close early, and then
odd lineups?
Ferndale just stopped playing in the third quarter.
You think they just stopped playing?
I think they just stopped playing, and then Chandler Park Academy got on a big run. You know, Ferndale just couldn't hit shots. That's what
sometimes
they couldn't hit shots.
When the avalanche hits you, sometimes you just can't. There's nothing you can do. You start making shots, it's contagious.
I think that's what happened. I think that's what happened over there at Livonia. When Livonia was, the avalanche came. The avalanche ripple effect came, and everything just snowballed on Ferndale.
Wow,
that's tough. That's brutal. And I thought Ferndale would win that regional, you know what I mean? But I didn't think that the snowball effect went and just.
Well, it goes to show just how fragile it can be. I mean, if you got to be focused for the entire game, all four quarters. If you just they weren't going into the third quarter with a lead after
No, they
half.
were trailing by 6.
So I mean, 6 couple possessions, right? So you're not out of it, and then.
It ballooned to a running clock.
It came out. Come out flat. In the third,
ballooned to a
close
running
it out.
Clock. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, that's tough.
That's brutal. That's tough.
I didn't even think about the running clock.
I mean, I did not expect that one to happen like that.
But what was their defensive tendencies going in? They can score 90, but what are they holding opponents to?
Defensively, they weren't very good.
So they went in 90 to 87.
They were winning games giving up. They were giving up a ton of points and were scoring a ton of points. But when you're not scoring a ton of points and giving up a ton of points, this is what happens.
Yes, it's the wheels come off.
Yep, the wheels came off.
So shore up that defense to just move it up. Let's say cut the shooting percentage down to 3 percentage points, 4 percentage points, and it's a different ball game.
It is, really is
something to work on for next year.
But I think
shore up that D.
That's something that Rickman's going to need to improve on, that defense. Because if you work up on your defense, they're going to allow you to go in that run and gun game. And that's what Ferndale likes to do. They're a team that loves to go run and gun. And then let's go to Oxford. Oxford against Howell. That was a tough one for Oxford.
Yeah, I thought they
went cold late.
Yeah, I thought they were going to do it.
They went cold late. I think it was 38-32 was that final score there.
Whoa, low scoring.
Low scoring game. They couldn't score. And that was stunning considering you had a team that came in at 21-1, of course, coming off wins against Ferndale, Pontiac twice, Lake Orion twice, and then of course, and then you're going into Howell. Of course, you've won in the Lake Orion, you won in that gym, and you're going into Howell. You have a great chance to win that one.
Yeah.
And Oxford blew a 10-point lead in that game.
Oh no,
they blew a 10-point lead in that one, and Howell came back, won that one. Now they're in the state quarterfinal. But let's look at Oxford's run. They lose 7 seniors, including Michael Raish, which is going to be a big loss for them.
Yeah.
They got others too, but
how fun was that?
That was a good run for Oxford. That was a
ton of fun. I was talking to some Oxford grads. Might live in Lake Orion now, but they grew up in Oxford, and boy, were they just beaming with pride. Wildcat pride. Just really proud of that team, and just like, can you believe it? And having great, meaningful games against their rivals like Orion, and making it exciting, and that sort of thing, and then winning the district title.
Now their first one, I believe, since 1993.
Yeah, long time, long time, and the support of the town, having everybody in their hometown rooting for them and behind them and traveling. Boy, the way that team traveled was fantastic. It was fun. It was a lot of fun this last couple months watching that team play.
And when you look at Oxford,
losing 7, boy.
They lose 7, but they do got one. They do got 2 players coming back in the Townsend boys, Zach and Trey. I mean, those are going to be 2 guys that are going to be worth watching next year for Oxford.
Who can they put around them?
That's going to be the question for Coach Steve Laidlaw.
I mean, team. You can't expect them to go one loss, in regular season.
Well, they're going to be going up from the blue to the white, so that's going to be.
It might change things a little bit.
That's going to change things.
We've seen teams flip flop, haven't we?
Yep, we have.
You move up, and us, you go, oopsies, and
we have.
You struggle.
But when you look at that run, it's not going to be a surprise. Steve Laidlaw is going to get the OAA Coach of the Year.
Oh no,
it would not be surprising.
No.
But
well deserved.
But let's look at the entire recap of the boys' season. Now that there's no more teams.
Yeah, it's crazy. When was the last time we didn't have anybody to talk about? I mean, last year you had Clarkston just winning and winning.
They won
and winning.
Back-to-back state
I
titles.
know. There's a lot to talk about, and it's only the second week of March. We're done talking.
They won back-to-back state titles.
We're gonna have to take notes on what we're gonna chat about next week.
Let's look at teams who you're watching next year.
Ooh, geez.
You look at, of course, Clarkston's a team we're watching carefully. Adams is another one I'm watching carefully.
Yep.
Everybody stays together over there.
Yes.
Ferndale's obviously one.
Yep.
Farmington's another one I'm watching. North Farmington could be a really interesting team to keep an eye on. Oak Park, they got a lot of their team back. Do
you think? Look at the alignments, like you just mentioned. Oxford's going to slide up, right? So anybody sliding around that you could say sliding down to the white or down to the blue or up that could make.
I see Adams possibly in the red. I see Adams going to the red. It's not. I'm not at the realignment meeting or and all that.
Yeah,
projections, all that.
Because that really changes the scope. I mean,
I'm going to give you my projections.
Okay.
What I'm seeing.
All right.
I think it's going to be a 7-7-7 alignment. I think it's going to be because you have Harrison closing.
Yeah,
and
that's
Hazel
right.
Park departing.
Yeah.
I'm seeing Adams in the red. I'm seeing Oxford. I'm seeing Oxford and Ferndale possibly go in the white, and I think I'm seeing Avondale, Athens, and Rochester go in the blue.
Okay.
So those are the teams I'm seeing. It's really interesting how it's gonna put it in the alignment category, but I'm projecting it right now. I think that with Avondale right now, they do lose a ton of experience. Athens, they struggled this year. Rochester, they really struggled this year. I think there will be some changes, but I think at the end of the day here, I see Adams in the red.
Okay.
I see Oxford, Ferndale in the white. And I think Avondale, Troy, Athens, and Rochester come from the blue. That's what I'm seeing.
I know one thing. I'd love to be at the game, Adams Clarkston,
Oh,
next year when they meet up.
that could be a bloodbath next year.
It could be exciting because
That depends if Adams keeps all their players
Yeah.
together. And then of course, that also depends because Clarkson next year is going to be better than people think.
oh yeah, well they were good this year.
They were good.
They were. Would you call them a surprise?
They started off 0-2, won 17 straight. You know what I mean?
After the turnover and the new regime coming in and all this, but you're like, man, they just picked up the ball and kept going.
Well, yeah, you would say they were one of a surprise. I was surprised, but the team that surprised me was Pontiac and Oxford, obviously.
Yes, yeah. Those are
the two teams.
Those
that
are the
surprised
stories
me.
of this season.
Those are the stories this season.
Yeah.
And then, of course, who would ever thought Adams would go and beat Clarkson the way?
Yeah, well, that's why next year I want to be at that regular season game when they hook up.
It all depends.
If they roll into the red.
If they roll in the red. So we'll see what happens there.
Oh, I hope they do. That'd be great.
We'll see what happens there. Let's take a break here. And let's talk some swimming.
Yeah, swimming
Recap.
finals.
Here on Oaa Now.
Yep. Gotta find the music. There it is.
Music, weather, sports, and you.
Me?
Yes, you. You're listening to The Local Voice.
Welcome back to Orion Now here on Sammy Community with Ian Locke.
Hey.
Recapping, we had a state champion in powerlifting this weekend, like Orion
Yes.
Boys powerlifting state champion.
Congratulations to the Dragons.
Yep.
I forgot about that one. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yep. And then of course, we have of course, cheerleading. We mentioned, I think it was last week, Stony Creek winning that, Harrison winning in boys bowling, winning a bowling.
Yeah, and that cheer championship was close.
Yes.
I mean, we're
Stony
talking
Creek and Adams.
tenths of a point.
Mm-hmm.
So congratulations to the champs.
Yep. And you got some swimming results.
Yeah, swimming results. This time of year, March 9th and 10th areas. You get the finals all over the place.
First day of spring sports, by the way.
Oh yeah, today. That's right.
First day of spring
Oh,
sports.
how exciting!
Yes, it is.
Some more
Baseball,
sports to talk about.
softball, lacrosse,
Soccer,
track.
track. Oh, yeah, and we love track. So
Yes, we do.
I just heard everybody go, come on, track's exciting. Track is fun.
Yes, it is.
All right, let's look at some. There were some great performances on the D2 side. We'll focus on that right now.
Yep.
On the D2 side, now these are the results from Eastern Michigan. That wonderful
Rose
pool
took
over there.
second, I believe, and
Adams.
Adam. Oh,
Well,
Adams.
let me do this. So I was just going to go down and results. Let's get to the final scoring page. So we had 2 pages. Okay, so where we got Groves, 203 points were the runner-up. Seaholm
Yep.
was third
Yep.
at 118.5. Adams was sixth at 138. So a loaded field. Anybody else? Who do we have in there? I don't see anybody else scoring in the OAA. North Farmington had 82 points at 12th, so they're top 13, top 15 team. Berkeley was in there at 22nd. They scored 36 points, I think that is. So good for Berkeley. I believe they had we'll go through the results here, but got to give it to my alma mater, the Dexter Dreadnoughts. Fourth straight Division II swimming title.
Not a lot of fans of Beverly Hills right now.
No, I know. I can't believe it. It's
not a lot of fans of Beverly Hills are a fan of you. I know that.
Let's say Dexter, boy, that's crazy. I can't believe it. It used to be a farming community. I swam for Dexter years ago, and just scoring points in state meet was a good deal. But now, hey, 4-time champ. All right, give it up to Birmingham Groves, the 200 medley relay champs. Congratulations to them. Let's see. Seaholm was 4th place in that event, and Adams was 6th. North Farmington was 7th. What can you say about the OA swim?
It's good league.
It is loaded.
Loaded league.
I mean, to see, it's like a league meet, if you're going to get the leagues together, man, or county. Crazy. Who else do we have here? Moving on. 200-yard. We already did that one. A lot of numbers here on the.
We got.
All right, 200 freestyle. Who do we have? Birmingham Groves. AJ Zako was 5th, so he was All-State. Congratulations. And Seaholm, Aiden O'Neill, also All-State, top 8 for Seaholm in the 200-yard freestyle. And I didn't see any champions here. I'm still scrolling. North Farmington, Connor East, he's All-State in the 200-yard IM. Demanding event. Tough for sure.
Tough.
I swam that one. I hated it. It was awful. It was torture.
We got any Division I updates at all? Or anything, or
those are the D2 guys. Let's see. Let's look at the 50 free. I thought Birmingham Groves, Jackson. I hope it's Junji was 4th in the 50 free, and Adams, Jacob Hart 8th in the 50 freestyle as well. So All-State for those guys. Let me come back here. Let's see if we got D1. What's our clock? We got 55 minutes in. We got some time. Final results in D1. Let's look at some of the scores, like the team scores. Usually out east on the D1 side. That's the powers out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Holland West Ottawa took the win.
Yep.
Detroit CC was 2nd. Hudsonville was 3rd. Saline was 4th. Let's see. Northville.
They're in the
Northville,
LA.
Yeah, they were 8th. Harrison and Farmington, they had Farmington Harrison. They were 7th, so good for them. They had 125 points.
Bad.
No, not at all.
Bad.
That's a good showing for them.
Yes.
Let's see who else we had. Rochester was 29th out of 35. I think they had an individual qualifier, scored some points. They got 9 points. I'd have to confirm that. Oxford had somebody in there. They scored 2 points. Tied for 32nd. Bloomfield Hills, 25th. They scored 16 points. But again, what can you say about on the D2 side, man? That is nuts.
I know.
Having all those teams in there scoring points and challenging, not only just scoring points, but challenging for state title year in and year out.
Well, that's the power of
That
the OA.
that is
power.
so exciting. So anyway, that's the teams on the D1. I'll try to scan real quick. I don't want to take up the rest of your time, Sam. Looking for
D3.
nobody there. Well, D3, we had a
Ferndale could be in that.
Yep, let's take a look at D3. What time we have? Okay, 57. We're going to have to wrap up here pretty soon. Final results, D3. Let's look at the team scores real quick. Hey, I got to give it to my good friend, lifelong friend, Dave Carnes, the coach at Marshall. They came in 3rd this year. Holland Christian was 1st in D3. Let's see. Not a lot here.
No.
Pontiac Notre Dame Prep was 31st. They're local. Let's see. That's about it. I don't see anybody D3 scoring any points for the OAA.
All right.
But, yeah, give it up to the swimmers. Always a demanding sport.
Good.
Goes year-round, dude.
Good one.
Yep.
My final thoughts this week, of course, it's springtime here. Wish everybody best luck in their first day of spring sports.
Yes. Watch the little slippery bits out there if you're running on your track today.
Or if you're we're probably going to be indoors anyway. So.
You think so?
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, the distance runners out there, they'll be outside.
Distance will be outside, but we'll see what happens.
Yep. It's exciting to get some new sports to talk about. That's what I'm excited about.
It'll be very interesting to see what happens going forward. Sammy to me here. I'm going to sign off this week here. Take care. See y'all next week, everybody. Take care, y'all.
See you, Sam. Oaa Now is produced by Sammy Terramina, and the views on this show are his and his alone. Give ONTV a call at 248-393-1060 to have your own podcast. Give us a call today. Classes are now enrolling. That's it for this edition of Oaa Now. We'll see you next week. See ya!